The Guam Department of Education has to comply with a guidance from US DOE in order to continue receiving millions in federal funding. School administrators, the Guam Education Board, and other stakeholders held a work session to review the guidance and discuss what policies they should implement at the schools. PNC's Rosel Romanes reports.
Guam Education Board and Guam Department of Education officials met with principals from secondary schools to find out how the various schools have accommodated transgender students, and with the new guidance from the U.S. Department of Justice and U.S. DOE, how the schools should move forward with policies to ensure that transgender students are not discriminated against. Some voiced their concerns regarding liability and how to address parents.
My worry is, they're still minors. How do we address parents? Imagine it's a girl's locker room. I have a transgendered female come in. They're all changing, genitals exposed. I have a 6th grade girl whose, parents, have not discussed, these things. They probably don't even want to discuss it at home, and they see that. And they go home and they tell their parents come and they're irate. We did have one incident where we did have one child who really identified with the female gender. He was going into the female restroom. And at that time, we just went ahead with anatomy, and we just spoke to him and said, just please use the male restroom and everything. And he complied.
Administrators say that for the most part, from their observations, students are accepting of transgender students.
For the most part, they are comfortable, and their peers are comfortable with their choice of gender that they choose. So, for the most part, I mean, there's a very small percentage that get teased and stuff like that. But for the most part, a lot of our students are acceptable to them. That's what, from my observation, when I see our students out there with the other students.
Principals from the various schools took a look at what policies and emerging practices some schools in the nation are already implementing and are taking some into consideration. Some of the examples include, in Alaska, transgender students or their parents or guardians should contact the administrator or counselor to schedule a meeting to develop a plan to address the student's particular circumstances and needs. In the District of Columbia schools, students may choose to have their parents participate in the transition process, but parental participation is not required. The Washoe County provides that students shall have access to use facilities that correspond to their gender identity as expressed by the student and asserted at school, including, but not limited to, locker rooms. After the work session, GDOE Deputy Superintendent Chris Anderson says they're working on focus groups that would help put the policies together and educate the community about the new policies.
I do not know whether or not we will be ready for the coming school year. My understanding, Taling, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we have to sign up and guarantee that we are going to be in compliance. Is that correct?
Right.
Rosel Romanes, PNC News.